Hey Stacey, how you doing?
Hi, morning. I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good. Thank you so much for being part of the Crossroads Cafe podcast. It's lovely to have you here. See
Oh,
your
thank you for
lovely
having asked
face.
me.
No, you're more than welcome. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
Been crazy. The world's gone slightly crazy, but we're communicating. I know we don't get to catch up face to face, but we do get to catch up via Zoom. So that's a massive bonus. So when it comes to Crossroads Cafe, it's all about inspiring and helping women that are at a bit of a crossroads. So I like to invite women on that are in business. I do speak to some women that aren't in business that are maybe looking to go into business, and just to try and understand where they're at, how they got to where they are, and where it is that they want to go. So for me, I just want to find out from you what it is that you do, why it is that you got started, and actually where it all began for you.
Okay, so I've got two hats. So I'll start at the beginning. I'm a freelance writer and blogger, and I write an award-winning interior design blog, which I started in 2009.
Yeah.
And that came about because I was made redundant from a staff writer job at a kitchen and bathroom trade magazine. And I loved that job, and it was just a brilliant job. It brought me so much joy and passion. So I was really sad to have left.
Yeah.
But I got another job straight away. Had to move to Bristol, working in a big publishing house, and was writing about other things. But nothing really lit me up like interiors.
Okay.
And at the time, another team member had started her own fashion blog, and I didn't know what a blog was. Blogs weren't really mainstream back then.
So
But
what
when
year
I
is
discovered,
this?
this was 2009, sort of like mid
2009.
2009.
Okay.
So I think most blogs that grew to be really, really big started around that time. They were kind of the early adopters, but at that time I had never heard of a blog.
Okay.
But when I heard what a blog was, and that it was basically my own online magazine that I could start and edit, I knew straight away that I had to start one to keep my hand in the interiors industry while I wasn't writing about interiors anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I could use that as a vehicle to keep my name out there, make sure that everybody remembered who I was while I wasn't writing for a specific magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and use it to promote my freelance writing business, and hopefully one day get another job back at an interiors magazine.
Okay.
So I started this blog, absolutely loved it. I vowed to myself that even if no one ever reads this blog, I won't give up, because it just brought me so much joy and passion.
I love that.
And having my own outlet for my creativity was just so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I think because I had that approach to it, and I put that passion and that joy into it, it just grew organically. So before long, I had loads of followers, loads of people who were reading it, and I'd got to the point where my blog was one of the sort of like the main blogs in the industry for interiors. And over the years, I've kind of struggled a bit how to make that into my full-time living. Like, I always dreamed, like, as I would sat there at midnight each night writing my articles, thinking one day if this could be my full-time job, then that's it, life made. I would be super happy.
Yeah.
That's the end goal. But I did struggle with monetizing it.
Yes.
Because I didn't want to lose that passion and that joy. So for me, it was a hobby as well as a way to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very reticent to fully monetize it in case I lost the joy. So I didn't want to have to start writing about stuff just because people were paying me if it wasn't something that I would have been like, yes, that's a great story.
Yeah.
So it took me years actually to work out how to do that. And in that time, I turned down all the paid collaborations until I could work out how to keep it authentically me and still make it into a living. So I figured all that out.
How'd you come to that? Because you put that down on your notes, monetizing the blog. How did you actually do it?
Well, I was getting approached all the time by brands who wanted to pay me to write content about them. And at first I just took a blanket approach. No, it's editorially independent. I only write about stuff that I want to write about, that I believe has a good story behind it and that people want to hear about. So I spent years just saying, no, sorry, you can't pay for content. And then I realized we'd got to the point in the industry where literally everyone I knew had monetized their blogs. And there were brands out there who wanted to pay for it. Large parts of advertising budgets were going into online content. And I thought to myself, Stacey, you're being a bit ridiculous now. You're holding yourself back. You're putting barriers in the way of your own success. So you need to sort this out.
Yes.
So I figured I've been pondering this for years now. like I trust my own instinct now. I know when
It's
it's the right fit for me, and when to say no. So I took the leap and started monetizing it, but I still kept it as like a side hustle for years, because I was just so afraid of losing the joy. It just brought me so much joy that I thought, if it's my full, the next barrier that I put in my own way was, if it's my full income, it's going to be stressful. I'm going to have to work out ways, each month to bring in that money, which might not be aligned with my values or all that work I've put into working out what I will do and what I won't do. So again, it was another self-imposed barrier towards my own goal that I'd put in place.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think the only one that really stops us is ourselves. It's totally. And there's something that we're fearing. I believe there's a reason we're not doing something, and the reason we're not doing it is because there is maybe a limiting belief down there somewhere, or there's something that we're fearing that's stopping us moving into that place. That's why I was interested to know why you went from, no, this is definitely not what I'm going to do, to actually, yes, I'm going to do it now. And you hit the nail on the head, trusting your instincts, trusting yourself. And you mentioned that quite a bit in your notes.
Well, I thought it was a fear of failure. I thought, if I make it my full-time income, what if it doesn't work out? And I'm a massive perfectionist and I don't do failure. So I thought, I've definitely got a fear of failure here. But then as the years have gone on, and I've done a lot of sort of self-development work to try and get over this perfectionism and this fear of failure, it's sort of morphed into more of a fear of success.
Yes. Yeah. What if it does? Well, that's it. But it's like the time, the energy, the effort. Is it going to take you away from the other things that bring you joy, your family, your partner, whatever it may be?
But I found that very interesting, that how it could go from one end of the scale right up to the other extreme of being a fear of failure to a fear of success. But over the years, I have been very successful with it. So my blog was it was ranked as one of the top 10 interior design blogs in the UK in 2012.
Amazing. And
it's ranked in that top 10 every single year since then. So it took me 3 years to get to the point where I'd gained that recognition, and a big part of that was just not giving up. So a lot of people start blogs because they think, hey, this is great, I can make money, I can be an influencer, and I can get paid to do this cool thing. But they expect that success to be instantaneous, and they expect the money to come flowing in without having to do a lot of work, because the way influencers work, it looks effortless. But there is so much work that goes in behind the scenes, and so many things you have to learn, and so many changes to algorithms and stuff that you have to keep up with. It's definitely not an easy job. But I've had all that success, and I've worked with loads of amazing brands on big national campaigns. I've done video campaigns, I've been on TV, and I'd kind of got to the point where I was going to be made redundant in my part-time job, the one I refused to let go of. And so I thought, right, I've always wanted this to be my full-time thing, and I kind of knew that redundancy was the only way it would happen. They then decided not to make me redundant, but I thought, no, I'm going to go through with this anyway. I've got to give this a chance. I need to make this my full-time gig. So I did that at the end of 2019.
Okay, so that's 10 years after you started your blogging.
Okay.
It
makes you feel like a blogging pensioner. But I decided, right, I'm going to give it a go. And luckily I had a supportive network of other female women in business who I'd met through, well, actually I haven't met a lot of them. We've met online a lot, talked daily, like online. And they helped to kind of coach me through that process of giving up the side hustle. Giving up the full-time job in favor of the side hustle, and how I could make that. And a lot of that was mindset. A lot of that was them telling me, you can do this. You've been doing it for ages. It makes money. Like, you've got the skills. You can do it. So I did that in the end of 2019, early 2020, and it was working. I'd replaced my income quite quickly from that part-time job, and it was going really well. And I got to about 6 months in, and then I thought, a lot more lonely than I thought. It's not like I don't have any colleagues to talk to. Like, obviously I have people on WhatsApp and online, but I was like, I don't have anyone to bounce off of, to share ideas with, to talk about when I need a bit of support. There was just no, and I was just doing like working at home, going on the school run, not really talking to anyone there apart from about kids. And then I got this press release through, and it said that the Southwest has the highest proportion of female entrepreneurs in the country. And I was like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I thought
Where
about,
are they?
Yeah, well, I thought about the mums on the school run. And I was like, well, no, wait a minute. They're all running their own businesses. There was only one that I knew that was employed as a nurse. Everyone else seemed to be running their own businesses. And I was like, wait, this is true. I wonder if everyone else feels like I am. I spoke to a lot of them, and it turned out a lot of women were feeling that sort of loneliness, that isolation, that lack of support, lack of network. And I'd had a situation when it was just after I'd started my blog, actually. So I was freelancing as well. And I'd discovered co-working. I'd read articles about co-working, and it excited me massively. And I just thought, wow, this is amazing. This is insane. This is such a good way to work for people like me who are like freelancing, even part of the time, and you're working at home and you don't have that sort of like support network around you. This is amazing. So immediately I was like, more people need to know about this. Sure. Now in 2010, co-working, the very first co-working space opened in America in 2005. But by 2012, there were still only 2,000 co-working spaces globally. Wow. So this happened in 2010. So there was less than 2,000 co-working spaces globally. So I don't know how many there were in 2010, but less than 2,000. So it was a very, very new concept. I thought it was the future of work. So I contacted like the Guardian, the Telegraph, the Times. I was like, I want to write an article about co-working and how it's the future of work.
Yes.
And I got zilch back. All the editors were like, nah, not interested. Don't want to hear about this. Which actually, it really knocked my confidence as a freelancer, because I was invested in this topic. I knew it was going to be game changing. I thought it was a brilliant article idea, but nobody wanted to hear about it.
This is it. I'm just going to quickly jump in, because I heard this just recently on a... I don't know if it was a blog that I've read or something, but they were talking about ideas, and I'm always like, ideas in, ideas out. That's why I think it's really important, like you say, and you're going to talk about this with your co-working space that you run. But they were saying it can be a fantastic idea, but it might be at the wrong time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? As in, for people to adopt it, it's too early. It's like you were probably, God knows how many years too early, you know, for it to actually be implemented.
Yeah,
they weren't taking hold of it, which you would have expected them to do.
I allowed that to knock my confidence for my freelancing career. So then I was a little bit reticent to go all guns blazing, pitching ideas everywhere in case people weren't interested. Right. But at the time, I interviewed the president of the International Co-working Association for this article and talked all about co-working. That spurred me on to go and join a co-working space. So I found one in Bristol. And I went there, I joined it, really excited, only to find out that it was massively disappointing. So it was like just any old big corporate office. I went in, I sat at a desk. There were people, it was massive space. There were people dotted all around everywhere. Yes. No one was really chatting. No one was talking. We had a coffee hour where we went and chatted for 20 minutes in a big glass office. Yeah. And then everyone went back to their separate desks and no one interacted. And that, how it was sold was this collaborative environment, this great community. And I didn't feel that. No. And shortly after it shut down, so I couldn't be part of it anymore. And then I didn't really think much more about co-working. We moved back down to Devon from Bristol. There weren't really any co-working spaces here anyway. And I didn't think about co-working anymore until I had been made redundant. My blog was my full-time thing. I got a business coach, and we were having discussions about how I could not only match my previous income, but increase it. And we were throwing around ideas. And my business coach had said to me, like, go away this week and think about what you really want to do, obviously meaning with my blog. And I went away and I sort of journaled and asked the universe. I was like, what do I need to do? Like, what is my purpose here? Because I love writing, but I just knew deep down there was something I was meant to do that I wasn't doing now, that used some of the skills that I had that I wasn't using in my writing work. And then I just woke up one morning and I was like, oh my God, I need to start my own co-working space. I need to start my own co-working space. And in the time from 2010 to 2019, 2020, I had seen, you know, WeWork coming through and all these design-led co-working spaces, and how we'd reevaluated the environment in which we should be working to make it more inspiring and to make it a nicer place to be. And then I'd seen the rise of these female-only co-working spaces in big cities. So in New York, in London, the Wing, you know, some of these big ones, but they were all very fancy. So they had like, you know, massive libraries, yoga studios, cafes, you know, breastfeeding rooms, like all these amazing things. But they were a bit more like sort of members only clubs.
Right.
And I couldn't set up anything like that. Like I don't have the budget to get a massive space that can hold hundreds of people and set it up. But I was like, what's the minimum viable product? Like, what could I set up? What's the first baby step that I could take to get there? And my business coach said to me, like, do you know how to set up this business? And I was like, I do. My previous experience, I know how to build a community. I know how to sell. I know how to market. Online is my forte. I know how to do PR because I've worked on the other side of PR in the journalism side for a decade. Like, I could do this. So I worked out how much money I would need, and I was like, okay, this isn't impossible. I could actually do it. So I just, and then it was mindset. So this is where my coach came in, helping me with the mindset, because he made me promise not to say no. He was like, so you're going to do this and you're not going to say no. And I was like, I promise I won't say no. I'll go for it.
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot of mindset work then, because it was terrifying. It was literally terrifying, because I had to invest in bricks and mortar business. I had to buy tables, chairs, stuff to go in this office, pay a lease. It was terrifying. So it took a lot of mental work to not let fear stop me and stand in my way.
Definitely. Faith, isn't it?
Yeah.
Faith, I say, is the antidote to trust issues. If you've got a trust issue, you've got to have some form of faith that, you know, I can achieve this, I can make this happen.
Yeah,
trust
absolutely.
trust the process.
Yeah, and that was when, like, this little poster that I've got back here that says you have to have that on the wall, because fear is a liar. Like, it will feed on all your insecurities and everything, every doubt you've ever had. And it is a liar. When you look at the things that you're afraid of, a lot of it's not based in actual evidence. It's not based in reality. It's just your own projections and worries, and your projection of the worst case scenario. So it's not actually true.
Definitely.
So I had to tell myself that every single day.
Don't trust fear. I love that. I mean, I think with everything that we do as well, 80%, or this is what I believe, 80% is mindset, 20% is the mechanics. You knew you could do it. You had the background, you had the experience, you know, you knew you could do it, but there's that fear. That's, what if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if I succeed? There's always a what if, a what if. And when you can overcome that, and it's a challenge, and I think you can overcome one fear, or you can overcome one doubt, and it can lead to another one. And
Absolutely.
It's just a constant working progress. I don't think you've ever, I know for me, I've been working on my mindset for a long time. I've never completely mastered it, and I don't think I ever will, because it's just a constant ongoing process. But it's, like you say, small little steps, one small step at a time. Just break it all down. If you've got an idea of something that you want to do or something you want to change, you're at a crossroads, just think, like, what's that next step I can take? What's one right move that I can take that's going to lead me slightly closer to where it is I want to go?
The problem a lot of us have is we either live in the future or live in the past. So if you've had issues in the past where you've maybe not succeeded, or something's happened, like, focusing too much on that doesn't help you. And for me, I live too much in the future. So mine's all the what if. But I think we just really need to pull ourselves back to the present time and think about, what can I do today to move that forward? Like, what tools, what resources, what do I have at my disposal today that I can action today to get me closer to that goal, without worrying about the million things that could, because the future doesn't actually exist, and nor does the past. All we have is the present moment, and we need to anchor ourselves today to be able to move forward. Definitely.
I love that. So talk to us about the co-working space that you've created, the Tribe, which is doing amazing. And I've spoken to a few women that are part of it, and they all sing the praises of the Tribe. They're so grateful for it. So tell us a bit about it.
Well, when I looked for a co-working space myself in the area, I looked around and I thought, well, there are a few, but they're so uninspiring. And do I want to pay money to go and sit in an office that looks like the office I just left
Yes.
from my part-time job, and actually spend my time there? Is that going to give me a feeling of being the successful businesswoman that I need to be to achieve my goals?
Yes, I love it.
And
yes.
I was like, no, like none of them looked inspiring whatsoever. And so that was when I thought, right, I'm going to have to do it myself. And from my interior design background, I knew how important it was to create a space that feels good. It doesn't just need to look good, it needs to feel good. And I'd been specializing a little bit in biophilic design, which is bringing the natural environment into the built environment. Right. So bringing plants inside, bringing nature inside, natural textures, natural materials, natural color palettes.
I was going to say the colors that you have are beautiful. Absolutely, I love it. I love the colors.
So it's really good for our well-being and for our mental health to surround ourselves with nature. So I wanted to bring all that in. I'm not great with plants, so a lot of them did die within a week of opening. So I had to bring in the
more plants.
But apparently I interviewed a biophilic design expert who told me that they have the same benefits for mental health and well-being as live plants. So we're all good there.
Happy days.
So I created this beautiful space, and I thought, hopefully this is a space where women would want to spend time and would feel comfortable.
Feel good.
Give it more of a home office feel rather than that corporate sort of corporate feel that nobody really wants anyway. And we now know, because no one wants to go back to the office after the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we created that, and then I put all my time and effort into talking to my ideal clients, who were me at various stages of my career, basically. So I wanted to reach young women who are thinking about making the leap to starting their own business, women like myself who have maybe pivoted or changed after having children, or sort of like middle-aged women, and then also older women who've done the kids, done the family, and now they want to do something for themselves, and are maybe a bit scared of starting something new at that age, or feeling like a bit invisible in society, or a bit undervalued. So I wanted to reach those three kind of sectors of womanhood, and use the physical space as somewhere where we could come together to share that experience. So the people who've done it already, who've done those first stages, could lift those other women up the ladder. And why reinvent the wheel? If someone's done the thing that you want to do, ask them how they did it, and then hopefully they will share that knowledge with you to help you make your first steps up that ladder. Definitely. So I really wanted to create that all-inclusive space where we are lifting each other up and strengthening each other and moving each other forward, whilst also batting off the imposter syndrome and all those other things that hold women back in business. And it's working lovely at the moment. It's working really nicely. We've got lots of regular users who come in. We've had lots of collaborations that have happened. One of my business superpowers is just spotting the connections between people. And I realized that if I had a physical space, I'm good at getting the right people in the room, but I didn't have a room. So I was like, I need a room to get those people into the space. So the office acts as that room for me to sort of hook up those people, and honestly, magic happens in that office. So
I bet it does. I can imagine.
Someone will say to me, I really need to find someone who can help me with XYZ. If I could just find that person, I know I could overcome this obstacle and take that next step forward. And then literally a few days later, someone will come in the office and be like, hi, I do XYZ. And I'm like,
oh my God, put them together.
I've literally met someone who needs you. And then I can pick them up, and then they can go on and help overcome that obstacle that person was feeling.
I just think, you don't have to do it alone, and we can't do it alone. But I think so many people that are starting out, it does feel really lonely. And I think because you're wearing so many different hats, aren't you? And you're doing all these different things, it just feels hard. And I'm not going to say it's easy, because it isn't easy, but it's definitely doable, because there's so many of us that do it, and definitely achievable. But I do think if you can get around the right people, I'm always talking about this in environments, and this is just even for me and possibly for yourself as well, Stacey, moving from Essex to Devon. I wanted to get out of the built upness and the busyness and all the stuff that just seemed to be, I felt it was just all too crazy and too much, to a place that I felt I needed space. It was like my inner guidance was saying, you need space. I wanted people around me that really sort of lifted me up. It makes a massive difference. Your environment impacts everything that you do, absolutely everything. So when you're around those people, when you're around those inspiring women and you're sharing ideas, like I say, ideas in, ideas out, and you can bounce things off of people. But even if you can't physically get somewhere, there's other, you know, you do stuff online as well, don't you?
Yeah, so we had to, well, we didn't have to, but when the lockdown happened, and obviously I had to shut my space, so I'd only been open for 2.5 months. So you can imagine it's taken me that long of playing with the idea of a co-working space. It'd been in the back of my mind for like 5 years, but I'd always dismissed it, so I was like, I'm not the kind of person who can do that. And then to finally do it, I was so proud of myself that I'd overcome the fear and not listen to that saboteur inside me. And I was like, this is a great time to pivot and do a co-working space. Then the global pandemic hits, and I was like, this is the worst time in history to open a co-working space. What have I done? Like, my ideal client are remote workers. Everyone in the world is now a remote worker, but they have to work at home. So I went into a dark place. I tell you, I was the worry, the doubt, the overthinking was crippling, as I thought, what the hell have I done? And then the longer it went on, the longer the lockdown went on, and more people worked from home and realized how lonely and isolating it was, I thought to myself, no, maybe this is
an opportunity.
To launch a co-working space. So then I got my mojo back and was like, right, what can I do today while we're shut that I can pivot? Because I felt bad, like I was homeschooling, couldn't pivot, didn't have the headspace because I was too busy worrying, couldn't pivot for ages. And it wasn't actually until early this year that I got my act together and pivoted online. And I had a lot of resistance about that. Eventually I wanted to have an online part of the tribe, but because I'd spent near on 15 years working online, I'd got to the point where I was done with online. I was like sick of online. I needed people. I needed actual people sitting at desks next to me. So it took me a while to go down the online route. But the community I'd built were telling me they needed that support even when the space is shut.
And that's key, isn't it? Listening to your audience, listening to the people that you want to serve. We sometimes think, I've done this so many times, Stacey, I don't know if you have, but I might have an idea of something that I want to do or something I want to offer, and I put a lot of work in to do that, and then when I offer it, no one wants it. It's like no one's interested, and I'm like, hold on a minute, I thought that was such a good idea. But you've got to understand your audience. You've got to understand the people that you want to serve and ask them the questions and find out what it is they want, and then help them achieve that. We were talking about this last week. That is a business model in itself. What are they looking for? What is it that they need? How can you better their lives? And then when you offer that to them, obviously they're going to take it.
So I knew there was a proportion of women who didn't need a desk, because there were a lot of women in my community who make things with their hands. They have a studio, they burn stuff, they, solder stuff. So they didn't need desk space, but they still needed that network and that community. So I knew I had to go online, but I wasn't really sure how to do it. Like, sounds ridiculous because I built a website that's become successful. I should be able to do it, but I wasn't sure how to build like some kind of membership. But luckily, another woman who'd come into the co-working space, who I'd met through the community, Claire Collis, who is just an amazing woman. She's helped so many people in our community, and she now helps me run the online version. She was like, but that's what I do. I help people build online communities and membership sites, so I can help you set this up. And she was so invested in what I was trying to create that we now run that together. So she has so many skills and so much knowledge that I don't have, that together it's just so much stronger than it would ever have been if I'd have done it right at the beginning of the pandemic.
And like you said, and you touched on already, we learn from other people. So other people have been there, they've done it, rather than it take you and it does take time. I'm always saying, when it comes to building anything, you've got to be in it for the long game, and that's why it has to sparkle joy. You speak about that. Will it bring me joy? If it doesn't sparkle joy, there's a good chance as soon as you come up against some resistance or something that's not working, you're like, oh, sod this. I can't do this. This isn't me. So if you find that thing that you feel you're good at and you love to do and it does sparkle joy, you will achieve it. But it does take time, because you've got to learn your way to the top, or just learn your way through the process. When you get in touch and you're in communication and in contact with people that have already done it, it's going to be a quicker process for you, because
and it seems possible, because at the time it seems like something impossible. Like, how can I do this? If you've never seen anyone do it, you're less likely to think that it's possible. But when you see other people doing the thing that you want to do, then all of a sudden those gates open. You're like, oh, okay, it's not impossible after all.
I can do this. That's it. Love it. Love that. So you're running it, everyone's happy, you've got this amazing community of women around you. I've got a couple more questions, but I do appreciate we're going, time's running a little bit short. Any habits that you can share with us, things that you do on a consistent basis, or you try to avoid, that help you get to where it is that you want to go?
So for me, within our online community, we rely on each other a lot. So that accountability, like I do try to tell people what I'm aiming for and what my goals are, because then I'm more likely to actually achieve them. So I do like to kind of share some of those plans, because if it's just me who knows about it, it's a bit too easy to be like, I haven't done that thing yet, but do you know what, no one knows about it, so maybe I just won't bother. So having that accountability, and also stepping outside of my comfort zone. Like, growth doesn't happen in our comfort zone. It's kind of nice and it's kind of cozy and it feels really good to do what you know, but you're not going to grow. So I try to make sure that I'm putting myself outside of my comfort zone often. And that might be, doing a podcast, or, reaching out to journalists when I'm scared that they're going to say, no, your story's not good enough. It might just be organising something that I've never organised before. Like, I'm helping to organise a Christmas market for female entrepreneurs at the moment, for female makers and crafters. Never done anything like that before. But I was like, do you know what? I'll never do anything like that if I don't do it. So I'm going to have to just try it for the first time.
Put yourself out there.
Just trying new things. That's something that I'm trying to do more often. I spent years not doing it because I stayed in that comfort zone, but now I'm really trying to push myself, because what I find is the minute you step out of that comfort zone, you realize it's not as uncomfortable as you thought. That fear was telling you that it was going to be more uncomfortable and that it was going to be horrendous. But actually, you do it once, you're like, that wasn't so bad. I can do that again.
Yeah, definitely. What I love about you as well, Stacey, and everything that you've said, there's so much authenticity. It's like you've really followed the path that you were meant to take. And I think that's so important, isn't it? It's so important that we can be authentic and be our true selves. I know for me, I found that really hard. I think with age, it's definitely helped a bit. As I've got older, I've sort of got to a point where I feel like I don't give as much. I'm not so bothered about what other people think of me. But we all want to do a good job, right? We all have a vision of success. I know it's different for everybody, but we all have that vision of success, and we're always forever comparing ourselves against it.
You can't be anyone else. You are who you are, and to try and be someone you're not is utterly exhausting. Like, who has the energy for that? And I think I've learned that through my blogging career. Like, I've never thought of myself as an influencer, but other people have, thought that about me, because my blog is one of the most popular and most well read. But I've been to events where I've met other influencers who I talk to all the time online, and I thought I knew who they were. And then I'd meet them at an event, don't recognize them because they look different, have conversations with them, not even realizing who they are. And then afterwards, someone would say to me, why were you so unfriendly towards that person who you know really well? And I was like, didn't even realize who that was, because the picture they show on social media wasn't that. Like, I didn't even put those two people together. I had no idea that it was the same person. And I think you can come unstuck quite quickly, especially on a public forum where everyone's following you and everyone's watching you. If you're not your authentic self, people are looking for that now. There's so many people out there who don't agree with the industry, who don't like influencers. They're just looking for a way to tear you down. And a really easy way to make sure that will happen is by not being who you really are.
And I even just think for your own self-worth, when you're trying to be someone else, or trying to just do what other people are doing all the time and not doing what feels right for you, you're constantly banging your head against a brick wall, and I think it just takes you longer to get there. It just takes you longer to get to wherever it is that you want to go.
Absolutely.
So I think it's really important. Be authentic. It builds your self-worth, and it's definitely going to get you to wherever it is that you want to go quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's next for you?
I would love to grow the tribe. I would love to have a bigger space so that we could get more people in doing events, getting local female entrepreneurs in to teach workshops, to just do networking events. And what I really want to do is try and support people more to make their dreams come true. So when I mentioned like the three women, I definitely think that there is a need to help women at the start of this journey. So those people who are at a crossroads, they want to change, they want to start their own business, they need support. But there's actually so much support already out there. So there are organizations galore offering free, fully funded workshops on all the issues that you can think of to do with starting a business. But a lot of women don't know about them. I've spoken to so many women who have no idea that this kind of support is available. So I want to make it really clear to everyone out there. I want to be able to signpost those women in the direction that they need to take to make those first steps to starting their own business. But since I opened, and over that time, the lessons that I've learned, I've realized that there's also another tranche of women who already have the skills, they have the experience, they have the knowledge, they know what they want to do, they're laser focused on what they want to build, and they start and they get it all up and running, and they get to a point where it's like, okay, stop, we can't grow anymore, we can't scale, we can't build bigger, because there's not enough time to do all the things that those courses are teaching you. You can't be everything. You've got to outsource at some point. And B, they don't have the money. Every bit of money that they are making from that business is being reinvested in product development, in launching new services, whatever it is they're doing to grow that business. You get to a point where there's just no extra money to take that next step. And then it becomes a funding issue. So what I really want to do is try and open up the door to all those women, because there's also funding out there. There is funding pots. Again, women don't know about it.
No.
Women aren't accessing it. Women aren't being granted the funding. So a crazy statistic is that women-led businesses and female-founded businesses only get 1% to 2% of all venture capital funding, which is insane. And the problem is that there aren't very many women in venture capital.
Right, okay.
So people give money to people like themselves. So when the majority of the people giving the money are middle-aged white men, they would give the money to middle-aged white men. Subconsciously, it's an unconscious bias. As humans, that's what we do. We give it to people who look like us, that we recognize. So unless there's more women up there giving funding to more women, that's not going to change. But there is already funding that we can go for. So my next mission is to try and work out, how do we help more women access that funding so that they can grow.
Amazing. Well, that sounds like a mission, but more than capable. I'm sure you will absolutely smash it. I've got no doubt about that.
I'm just going to keep saying to myself, fear is a liar.
Fear is a liar.
Fear is a liar.
That's it. Don't trust fear. No. Well, Stacey, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for catching up with us today. I wish you all the best for what's to come. I hope to catch up with you soon and see you face to face soon for a coffee or something.
Yeah, I'd love that.
And you take care, won't you? Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you so much.
See you later, my love. Bye.